Welcome in. We are diving straight into the deep end today, and, well, the mission for this session is it's highly specific.
Yes, it is. Very specific today.
Because you shared a really profound piece of academic research with us. It's from the 2026 edition of the Strategic Management Journal,
Right.
and it's titled Collision in the Boardroom, Director Skill Interdependence in Corporate Entrepreneurship in Technology-Intensive Firms by Stivo Pavicevic, Thomas Keel, and Shekhar A. Zara.
Yeah, that's the one.
And our objective today is to take this research and use it to shatter what is honestly a massive, persistent myth.
Oh, absolutely.
A myth about how strategic decisions are actually made at the very top. Because we usually look at corporate boards or any elite leadership team, really, like a fantasy sports draft.
Right, the fantasy draft mentality.
Exactly. The assumption is just, grab the best individual players, draft a finance guru, secure a veteran tech innovator, bring in a visionary founder, throw them all in a room, and boom, you automatically get great decisions. But this research proves it's completely wrong.
It is. It genuinely upends that whole traditional additive model of governance.
Yeah.
Because when we look at the empirical data, especially in these tech-intensive firms where, constant innovation is it's an existential requirement.
Right, you innovate or you die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We see that boards are not just collections of isolated experts, they function as ecosystems of expertise.
Ecosystems.
Right. The strategic impact of any single director doesn't just rely on their individual resume. It's about how their specific cognitive approach interacts with the biases of everyone else at that table.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if we are looking at boards as ecosystems, that implies these different species of experts are interacting in ways that aren't just, simple math.
Yeah, it's not linear at all.
So let's establish the players here. Who exactly is colliding in this boardroom when it comes to corporate venturing and strategic renewal?
So the study isolates two main types of board expertise that they often find themselves at odds. First, you have the entrepreneurial directors.
Okay.
These are folks with serious experience founding and scaling ventures. Their whole cognitive logic is rooted in opportunity recognition.
They see the big picture.
Right. High-risk tolerance. They are always looking at the horizon, asking, where is our next massive growth engine?
And the other side.
On the opposite side, you have the finance-skilled directors.
The bean counters.
Well, the professionals with backgrounds in accounting, auditing, high-level financial management.
Right.
Their entire professional architecture is built around control mechanisms, predictability, stringent financial discipline. They are the ones looking for downside exposure.
Protecting the capital.
Exactly.
And here is the central finding from the research you shared with us. The study shows that adding an entrepreneurial director actually does increase a firm's investment in corporate entrepreneurship.
It does. Their background really helps identify new ventures.
But, and this is the huge caveat, that entrepreneurial influence weakens dramatically when the board has a higher concentration of finance-oriented directors.
Yes.
But wait, I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Isn't that just a finance director doing exactly what they're paid to do? I mean, why is this study calling this a collision instead of just, basic corporate safety?
That is precisely the right question. And what's fascinating here is that the research does not frame this as a bad thing.
It doesn't.
No, not at all. They aren't saying finance directors are maliciously killing innovation. It's a healthy tension. It's a structural tension between exploration and control.
Okay.
The takeaway is that a director's influence doesn't exist in a vacuum. It depends entirely on the surrounding skill architecture of the board. Skills can reinforce each other or they can neutralize each other. Strategy is shaped by this cognitive architecture of governance.
Cognitive architecture. So let me make sure I'm translating this right. You're saying the board isn't a list of ingredients in a recipe? It's a chemical reaction.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Like a finance director changes how an entrepreneurial director's ideas are processed just by being in the room. Just by changing the parameters of the debate.
Exactly. An idea introduced to a board with 0 finance directors undergoes a totally different chemical reaction than the exact same idea introduced to a board full of auditors.
Well,
the environment determines the outcome just as much as the idea itself.
I want to flip the script and apply this directly to you, the listener.
Okay.
Because if you are a manager, say, getting ready to pitch an idea, this changes everything.
It really does.
We usually think of the board as this neutral evaluator, like a judge, but they're an interpretive system. You can give one pitch, and the entrepreneur sees strategic renewal, while the finance side sees uncontrolled risk. Same pitch.
And that split is exactly where most pitches die.
Right.
To survive this boardroom collision, your proposal needs what the researchers call dual credibility.
Dual credibility.
Yes. As a manager, you can't just speak the language of pure vision.
Right, all disruption and market capture.
Exactly. Because while that fires up the entrepreneurs, it immediately triggers the defense mechanisms of the finance directors.
They just see red flags.
But you also can't just give a purely defensive, financially safe presentation. If you do that, you lose the visionary directors. They'll think you aren't thinking big enough.
So if you only speak one language, you are begging for a rejection from the other side.
You're practically guaranteeing a veto.
Let's use the specific example from the text to ground this, the hotel AI example.
Yes, the hospitality scenario.
Imagine you're an executive at a legacy hotel company, and you want to pitch a massive AI guest experience platform.
Okay.
If you walk in and pitch it just as this transformational platform we simply must build to revolutionize loyalty, what actually happens? The entrepreneurs are high-fiving you. They see data monetization, new services.
With the finance director.
Yeah, what are they doing?
They are instantly calculating cybersecurity exposure. They're looking at the opaque costs of maintaining AI infrastructure and the highly uncertain payback period.
They hate it.
They will immediately demand a halt. Or they'll ask for an endless series of feasibility studies, which just kills your momentum completely.
So what's the fix? How do you get dual credibility there?
The solution the research points to is framing it as a staged venture option.
Staged venture option, meaning you break it down.
Precisely. Instead of asking for one massive, highly consequential check up front, you propose a pilot stage.
All right.
You attach rigorous learning metrics to that pilot. You outline a specific scale stage that only happens if those metrics are hit. And most crucially, you include a stop-loss stage.
Ah, a stop-loss.
Right, a pre-agreed point where you pull the plug to protect the core capital if the assumptions are wrong.
Looking at it that way, it's obvious why it works.
Yeah.
It satisfies the finance logic because it shows discipline and protection, but it keeps the entrepreneurial momentum alive.
Exactly. It gives the visionary directors a framework to defend your project as disciplined exploration rather than unchecked risk.
But there's a huge detail from the research we need to mention here. This battle between vision and finance, it usually doesn't happen for the first time in the actual board meeting, does it?
Almost never. It happens in the committees.
Right. The Corporate Development Committee, the Audit Committee,
Yes, these subgroups act as the initial strategic filters.
which means the battle is won or lost before the formal board packet is even sent out.
Exactly. Astute managers know they have to win the narrative in the committee stage.
Because if the committee decides your risk controls are bad, the full board is going to view the whole thing as toxic, no matter how good your final PowerPoint is.
That pre-board alignment process, that friction in the smaller room, that is where the real governance actually happens. You have to shape what the board eventually views as reasonable versus too risky.
Let's expand the lens on this, because for the leaders and founders listening, this data demands a total shift in how you build your teams.
It's crucial. You have to view board composition as strategic architecture.
Not just checking boxes for compliance.
Right. If you're in an industry facing heavy disruption and you have too much finance expertise on your board, you will unintentionally suppress the risk-taking you need to survive.
You'll audit yourself into bankruptcy.
Exactly. But conversely, if you have too much visionary expertise, you might ignore operational complexity and run out of cash.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because this interdependence concept, it applies directly to your everyday career, even if you are nowhere near a boardroom.
Oh, absolutely. It scales down perfectly.
Think about a regular cross-functional team. Say you're a tech product manager pitching a new feature. You need alignment from ops and finance. If you only talk about market differentiation and elegant code,
You'll fail.
you'll hit a brick wall.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, career progression isn't just about being the smartest person in your specific domain.
Right.
It's about becoming a translator.
I love that. A translator across expertise boundaries.
Yes. To have influence, you have to bridge the gap between the innovation specialists, the risk controllers, and the operational leaders. You have to translate your bold ideas into financially credible narratives.
I want to pick it to a really fun parallel from the sources. Something surprising. The celebrity boardroom.
Oh, the celebrity governance examples are fascinating.
Because public figures, celebrities, They don't have formal corporate boards with fiduciary duties, but they definitely have ecosystems of expertise.
They certainly do. Managers, agents, creative directors, brand partners.
And the exact same collision happens there.
It's the exact same structural pressure.
Yeah.
You have the creative advisors pushing for experimentation, right? They want brand evolution, cultural relevance.
Which means taking risks.
Inherently risky. But then you have the business managers and the corporate sponsors. Their job is to protect the reputation and ensure predictable revenue.
The sources gave this great example of a successful musician. Say they want to try a radically different, highly experimental music style.
The creative team loves it. They say it prevents stagnation.
Right, but the label executives and the business managers are terrified. They just see a threat to their established demographic and their revenue models.
So how do they get dual credibility?
They use a staged venture option.
Exactly.
The musician releases the experimental stuff as a side collaboration, or under an alter ego. It satisfies the creatives without terrifying the finance people.
We see this everywhere.
Yeah.
Athletes expanding into business ventures, actors taking weird indie roles. A celebrity surrounded only by creatives loses all financial stability.
Just burning through cash.
But one surrounded only by finance loses all cultural relevance. They become boring. You need that constant constructive friction.
Let's do a rapid-fire tour of where this collision is happening right now across major industries.
Yeah.
The text highlighted 4 specific battlegrounds. First up, hospitality and tourism.
Right. A sector with notoriously thin margins, but massive pressure to adopt tech.
Exactly. So the entrepreneurs are pitching AI personalization, IoT rooms, huge sustainability overhauls.
And the finance directors are looking at those short-term costs and panicking. They want strict ROI timelines that AI just can't promise yet.
The collision is intense. Okay, industry 2, banking and financial services. Heavily regulated, obviously dominated by finance logic for decades.
But now they face massive disruption from fintech and blockchain.
Right, so an entrepreneurial director says, hey, let's deploy an AI lending algorithm for a competitive advantage.
And the risk directors immediately block it. They point to regulatory bias risks, SEC compliance, legacy system vulnerabilities.
So the speed of a bank modernizing completely depends on how well those two sides negotiate that risk.
Exactly.
Industry 3, healthcare. This one has life or death stakes.
Very complex ecosystem. Clinical and entrepreneurial directors are pushing for telemedicine, predictive triage, robotic surgery.
To improve patient outcomes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the healthcare administrators and finance directors are paralyzed by reimbursement constraints. Medicare, Medicaid, IPA compliance, integration complexity.
They're trying to prevent the hospital from going bankrupt while the doctors are trying to save lives. It's a daily collision.
The brutal one.
And finally, retail and platforms. Traditional brick-and-mortar stores trying to fight e-commerce giants.
The visionaries want automated warehouses and AI recommendation engines.
But the operations experts and finance guys?
They're staring at narrow physical margins and the massive upfront capital needed to build that digital platform.
Right. If the board is too finance-heavy, they just cut costs until they die.
But if they are too visionary, they burn all their cash, building a platform they don't have the logistics to support.
It's a high-wire act across every single sector. Which brings us to the overarching takeaway for you, the listener. The big so what this entire deep dive.
Strategy literacy.
Exactly. Strategy literacy. Having diverse expertise in a room is great. It's necessary. But the interaction among that expertise is what actually dictates your outcome.
So what does this all mean?
Yeah, bring it home for us.
It means the most critical capability for effective leadership in a complex world is the ability to orchestrate diverse expertise, not just accumulate it. You can't just collect smart people. You have to manage how they collide.
That is perfectly stated. And I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over, something that builds right on top of this deep dive.
Let's hear it.
If strategic success really depends on translating between these opportunity seekers and risk controllers, will the future of corporate governance feature a completely new type of board seat?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Imagine a dedicated director of translation.
Wow.
Someone sitting at that table with zero specialized expertise in finance, zero specialized expertise in technology. Their sole legal and structural mandate is to mediate the cognitive collisions between the other experts in the room.
Just dedicated to ensuring dual credibility.
Exactly. What if the most valuable skill of tomorrow isn't a specific discipline at all, but the meta skill of reading and balancing the ecosystem?
Moving away from pure subject matter expertise toward the architecture of decision-making itself, it's entirely possible.
It's something to think about. Thank you for providing much incredible source material for this session. It really changes how you look at any room full of experts. Keep learning, keep bridging those perspectives in your own life, and we will catch you next time.